like to call the Transportation meeting, committee meeting to order, Tuesday, April 8th, 2008. Councilman Cloyd, would you please lead us in prayer, invocation?
Yes, sir. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this meeting and our chance to get together and try to do something good for the people of Ascension Parish. We pray that you keep everybody safe on our highways. Make everybody have plenty of time to get home and take their time. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let it be known, Ms. Liz, everyone present, anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with the secretary. We have two chairs addition. We need to add 2/3. One is Highway 73, and I'm going to let Mr. Turner take that out.
Mr. Chairman, what this is a task order for Evans Grave, who is on our task order list, to do a reconnaissance report on Highway 73 from I-10 to 61. The reason that this is needed is that the Highway Department is planning to widen 73 in this area to 3 lanes, which they're hoping that they do not have to acquire any right-of-way and they can expedite the project. The dilemma that we have in the parish is that they cannot have a closed system and put sewage in that system. So the parish is obligated to build a sewer system outside their storm sewer system, a sanitary sewer system outside their storm sewer system. We're concerned that they might require us then to buy the right-of-way. So this is a study for $40,000 to ask them to do a reconnaissance and to get with the Highway Department and determine what the actual right-of-way needs are and the approximate cost for us to build a sanitary sewer system.
Okay. With that, Mr. Turner, I need a vote to go ahead and put this on the agenda for 2/3. Secretary, please.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Kluwat?
Yes.
Councilman Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Lohr?
Yes.
And Councilman Lambert?
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and put that as under Mr. Turner's road report. That'll be 6A. I think we had one more. Did we need anything for the west side, Mr. Turner? On a resolution?
I have an item that may require a resolution, and it's actually, I got to find out where it is. Which one? 8? Yes, I'm sorry. Item number 8. That's a discussion of LA1 on the West Bank, and basically a report as to where we're at. We have a citizen that has handed you a letter making a request, and I'll be addressing that, but it could result in a resolution by the committee.
Okay. So no 2/3.
It's already on the agenda.
Okay, we'll move on. Okay, any presentations?
No, sir.
No one? Thank you. Number 6, the Road Department monthly report, February 2008.
Yes. You have in your packet a sheet showing a number of items that we've been working on in the past month of March. But we have done projects to correct drainage problems at 4 locations: Kramer Road, the 5th Ward Fire Department, Manchac Acres, and Melissa Heights. In addition to that, we've got a fairly long list of areas that we've been grading and graveling. I won't read that long list, but there's over 30 locations that we've done that. We've done sinkhole repairs at Feliciana Road, and we've done culverts and ditch cleaning on probably another 25 additional roads. The net result is that we have dug ditches on 15,200 feet. We've also cleaned 4,410 feet of culverts. We have started our mowing program. We started on March the 10th, and as you can see on the list, we've mowed on LA 22, 44, 42, half of 73, 427, 928, 74, and then the other half of 73, Highway 30, and 930. In addition to that, we have sprayed the center on Highway 61. We have done mowing on 79 miles of parish ditches in March. We've done mowing on 51 miles of state roads, and 13 miles of state road ditches were sprayed in March. That's the monthly road report. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Parish President?
When you gonna do 431? Wait.
In April? We're doing that now? I'm being told we're doing that right now, so it is early April.
Yeah, we make sure we move that one up, huh?
My employee back here is a little sharper than I am. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Bob, you want to take up A, the two-thirds?
Yes. Again, I'm asking for a task order not to exceed $40,000. I apologize that I don't have a handout for you, but I was not able to get the copier to work for me. But essentially, again, this is for Route 73 from I-10 up to Airline. The state's going to widen that road. We need to know what our obligations are as far as the sanitary sewer system. If they do a 3-lane and do not buy any right-of-way, that's going to force us, I'm concerned, force us maybe to outside the right-of-way line that's there. And we need to know that up front before they get deep involved in their project, because we have a commitment to provide that sanitary sewer system along 73. The rough approximate construction cost of that sewer system, irregardless of the right-of-way, I mean, if we don't need any right-of-way, it's still going to be about $1.5 million for the parish.
Parish President?
If we have to buy right away, I must suggest that we go back to our delegation, state delegation, because there's no way we can afford to put the sewer in and acquire the right away. That's some very expensive real estate in that area. So, you know, we need to know all this information. We need to make sure that, you know, we don't go obligate ourselves to putting the sewer in and then end up having to buy the right away also. Probably in another year and a half, year and a half, 2 years, we're going to have to do the same thing on 42. If they start that project and widen it, we're going to have to also provide sewer there. So as you see, I think sewer was mentioned in every meeting tonight that we had. A lot of times not in a good light. So these are things that we have to prepare for, but we really need to know what the cost is, what we're going to incur there. I'd rather spend the money now than find out later that it's going to cost us $10 million if we got to go and buy it right away, because that could very well happen. So again, we need to work with our state delegation, and we need to monitor these projects as they come along. But without sewer, you know, it's going to be hard to get any road widened in this parish. So that's another benefit to having a parish-wide sewer system. So thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Kluwat.
Yeah, Mr. Turner, just for clarification, for everybody knows, when we do like 73 or 42, we basically have to have a trunk line on both sides?
Yes, sir. I would imagine we would have to have a trunk line parallel and down both sides.
Both stormwater and sewer?
Yes, clearly.
If we take in the whole right-of-way
Yeah,
into that mode.
clearly the state will have a storm sewer down both sides. The concern that I have in addition is to where we would locate the treatment facility that's going to, after we collect it, and we've got to treat it and release it into a parish ditch. I mean, it would be it would meet all discharge EPA requirements, but we would have to also have a package treatment plant.
But it's definitely needed as a part of infrastructure for future growth. No doubt
Absolutely.
about that.
Yes, sir.
And to meet guidelines.
Yes.
Parish President.
And we also, as I said, we need to look at this on both of those routes, and I don't know if it's going to require both sides. It just depends on the right-of-ways. You know, what we need to do is plan with DOTD on them, because whoever the contractor they hire, we need to go ahead and lay the sewer pipe when they're doing the storm pipe. So that'll save us from having to come back in and do that. So that's why it's important to get in on the preliminary planning here and make sure that we got all our ducks in a row and not do it haphazardly like some of these projects that you're facing now with sewer.
Chairman?
Mr. Todd Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Bob, I understood you say that we had a commitment. I'm just wanting to know where that came from, as far as the commitment to the DOTD for us buying the right of way. Because normally when they widen the road, they get enough right of way for utilities. That's what I'm wondering. If we didn't put a sewer system now, and are we committed to put a sewer system?
Mr. Hughes and Mr. Lambert. Mr. Hughes gave that commitment to Mr. Lambert. Now, Mr. Hughes is not here, but I think we're going to have to go ahead and honor that commitment, because they went after the money and they got the money, and so that's where that commitment came. Now, 42, we haven't made that commitment yet. So, but we need to look at it and make sure. We should learn from this project a little bit more about what's going to happen. Now, on the widening project on 73, you had to do something similar to that. I wasn't here when that happened. I think that happened around 2000, 2001. I'm going to go back and see how they handled it then, you know, as far as the sewer. But the parish did have to put up the money at that time also.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Johnson.
Mr. President, with the concerns that we've had here lately, as far as the 40,000 with the budget concerns, where is that going to come from?
As far as what?
The 40,000 for the survey, where is that going to come from for this?
We'll probably take it out of either the general fund or road. We could probably road construction. We hadn't decided that yet, but by the time we get to the meeting and you actually vote on it, we'll have the fund dedicated. I mean, we got to figure out where we're going to get the $1 million too.
Right.
So $1.5 million. You know, it's kind of like the bridges with drainage and the roads with. I mean, what is it? A road ditch, a drainage ditch. So there's will be a road project or a sewer project. So we'll have to look at that. We do have $1 million in a sewer fund that came from surplus dollars this year. So we have $1 million set aside there. But I think I would prefer that this comes out of a road. Of course, it's kind of like anything else. It's going to be how you want to interpret this deal.
Councilman Law.
Mr. Turner, just since we brought up eventually having to do sewer on 42, just curious what kind of, if you have any kind of ballpark figure for what we're looking at there in terms of cost.
$2 million.
Okay, to wish. I'm sorry, Councilman.
One more question.
Lambert.
Time frame on 73 widening. I say we have the money now. What is the time frame on moving forward with the widening?
Well, the key is to get and become part of the planning process with DOTD, because if we don't do that now and they go ahead and make their plans and we don't put the plan in for the sewer, and when they hire the contractor, They're talking about the end of the year to the beginning of next year, from what I'm understanding, if everything goes right. So we need to be in the process now when they're drawing those plans. And again, my biggest concern on this project is right-of-way. I mean, if we got to buy the right-of-way, we in trouble. I mean, I don't know how we're going to deal with that. So.
Thank you.
Wishes of the committee.
Motion to approve the task order for $40,000 for Evans Graves.
Motion by Councilman Lohr, second by Councilman Johnson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passed. Number 7, road project update report.
The
Mr.
next,
Turner?
excuse me, I'm sorry. The next item is a report on the status of our projects that we currently have ongoing. Very pleased to tell you that the Westworthy Bridge Replacement project has, council has approved those bids on April the 3rd. They were excellent bids, approximately at $80,000 to $90,000 under the estimate. Chambers Construction Company got that bid, and they will probably be going to work on that within the next 60 days. Roddy Road Bridge Replacement, we're actively working on the right-of-way acquisition now on that project. We're doing title, getting title information now, and to proceed to right-of-way maps and also then appraisals and acquisition. Meyer Road Bridge Replacement, we're coordinating the design of the concrete head walls with the vendor. We've got some geotextile investigation surveying work that we've done, and we're getting with that. The 2004 intersection program that's with GSA, Phase 2 is ready to begin right-of-way acquisition. Phase 2, that was Phase 2B. Phase 2C, we're working with DOTD on getting a permit, and then we have to finalize comments. Along that item, I do want to point out that I did hand out to you a report by GSA essentially on the same projects that I'm talking about. Their report may be just a little bit more complete than mine. On their last page, next to the last page, they do give an update on the Hillaryville Sewer project that possibly I should have asked at the utility committee to do that. But so if you read theirs and mine, you'll pretty well cover what we're doing. Boutreaux Road, we're 53% complete on the construction. The substantial completion date is set for June 16th of this year. Joseph Vario, we're 45% complete on that project, and the substantial completion date is set for June the 30th of this year. The 2006 road reconstruction program, it's been currently done by R.J. Daigle & Sons. Out of 22 roads, Jackie, or 22 roads, we have 3 remaining yet to do. So they're really moving along very good. We expect them to be substantially complete next week, in fact. And got an item in that, Woodlawn Avenue. Item number 17 of the agenda will specifically talk about that, but I recommend a change order to do the work on Woodland Avenue, and I'll explain what that is. That's a carryover from the 2005. In addition to that, the completion and final striping will be finished on the 2006 by May the 25th. The 2007, those are in-house plans that Jackie is designing. We're 90% complete on that design, and we'll be ready to go to contract shortly on that. The 2007 reconstruction program, RCO1, PEC Engineering did the design. R.J. Daigle has that contract. Construction is scheduled to begin. Well, in fact, it has begun, and its completion date is set for August the 22nd of this year. The 2007 program 02, RCO2, designed by GSA. Again, the contractor is R.J. Daigle and Son. Construction is set to begin on May the 5th. We'll have substantial completion on September 1 of 2008. The 2007 widening program under Volker's Engineering. We have an item on the agenda that I want to talk about. I think it's the last item. No, it's not the last item.
No, that's going to be...
It's number 12. Thank you, Jackie. It's item number 12, and I'll discuss that in more detail, but they're completing analysis of a number of intersections, working with the state to determine what the state will approve as far as the links and what turn lanes are to be built. That's on schedule. We're working very well with them. And that's a list of our road improvements at this time. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Turner?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Johnson?
Mr. Bob, with the Roddy and Mere Road bridge replacements, we discussed this the other night with drainage, and I know me and you discussed in the past, we are working with drainage to coordinate the cleaning of the Bird Island ditch with these two bridges, improvements as well as replacement, correct?
We are. I'm really pleased with the cooperation between the two departments. We're working very well together.
Because there is some drainage concerns with opening those bridges up more, water go through. We definitely don't want to put any water in people's houses from doing that, so we want to make sure we coordinate all that together where it works smoothly.
Yes, sir.
That's all we have, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Turner. We'll go to number 8, discussion of turn lanes on Highway 1. Councilman Joseph.
Councilman Joseph asked to have this item on the agenda, and he'll address it, and I'll be glad to fill in some gaps if he has any.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a concern that we have on the west side. We have Ms. Robin Delaney here that is really requesting the resolution by the state. Me and Mr. Bob Turner, we have visited this here, and prior to this here, and these requests on the list. I don't know if y'all have a request, the copies of it.
Yeah.
We'll share it. Yeah, go ahead.
And as you can see, we have Highway 1 from White Castle that we're requesting a light intersection for the right lane, and the list goes on. But Mr. Bob, I can request it to Mr. Bob right now because he had sent this request to the state before, and Mr. Bob, I'm going to give you on that.
Sure. Mrs. Delaney had given me this list previously. I had sent it to the state and request that they and make a study and also to have a public meeting. Mrs. Delaney asked that we have a public meeting in the area to discuss these issues. I did not hear anything from the state, and I called them to see where they were at. And basically, they told me they had completed the study and had sent it up to administration for review and distribution, and that was kind of the last we heard about it. But the inference that I'd gotten in my conversation, I don't have anything in writing or anything like that, was that they didn't feel like there was any items that they needed to address over there. I feel like a resolution may be appropriate to follow up on this, to actually get them to report back to the citizens of the Donaldsonville area as to what they found out.
Make that resolution that we send it back to DOTD for a follow-up in a response to the letter that Mr. Bob had sent them.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Kluwak. Any opposition? Any other discussion? Discussion, Parish President?
I suggest that you also send that resolution to the senator and the state representative from that area. The problem problem with the West Bank and East Ascension is that it's not included in any MPO. It's kind of an isolated area on its own. A lot of times with these type situations and lights and safety projects, you can get them funded through the MPO. But the Nelsonville area is not in the Southeast Planning Commission, nor is it in the MPO. We need to try and change that, and sitting on there, we need to make the entire parish part of the metropolitan area, metropolitan planning organization. I think we have the numbers now to do that. We became part of the MPO, I guess, in 2000. It was like the year. It was like 98. We became, but only for numbers. We weren't eligible for funding in the MPO until 2000, I think, 2001. So now with the growth in the parish, we really need to ask the MPO, and may want to send a resolution also from the council to include the west side of Ascension Parish into the MPO. And that way they would be eligible for some of that funding. So I think that, I'll make the motion. I'll bring it up in the meeting, but I need a resolution from the full council. Maybe it would also help that process. And it may help get some of these projects funded.
Councilman Johnson.
I'll make that motion.
Amend the motion.
Amend the
We
motion.
want to amend the motion.
Councilman Johnson amend the motion, second by Councilman Kluwat. All in favor? So, motion passed.
As an item of additional information, you will see this attachment that I've got of a number of intersections that we have sent to our state representatives and asked for assistance on state funding. The items, intersections on the West Bank are number 14, 15, and 16. And the worst congestion is there at Bayou Lafourche and LA1 and 308. That whole complex in there needs to be resolved. In addition to that, one that I think is extremely important and might be hopefully funded is on LA1 South and Cybeam Bridge, where it crosses Bayou Lafourche. There's some turn lanes needed there and realignment of a private gravel road. That I've estimated that at about $350,000. We've submitted that to the state. Hopefully this legislative session will give consideration to these.
Thank you for doing that, Mr. Turner. Thank you, Ms. Robin, for staying strong on these issues over there. Thank you. All right, we'll go into item number 9, 2008
Yes.
road striping project.
Yes. If you will recall, we did a road striping program late last fall and early this year, and we had asked for, I think, $150,000 to $160,000 to do road striping. We got excellent bids, very good bids. The bids came in about $60,000, 50 to 60. So we felt like that this was an appropriate time to come back and ask you for another. We've got additional needs out there on striping, and we'd like to have your approval to another striping program to maximum $100,000, which would enable us to do 50 additional roads as far as lane lines down the road, and almost 70 stop bars, subdivisions, stop bars and subdivisions, which is really very helpful at night. And that would be for a maximum of $100,000, and it would be consistent with the amount that you had originally planned to expend.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lohr.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Bob, with this moving forward, I'd like to see a list of the roads that maybe you're looking at. Do you have them?
Yes, in
look,
fact,
they run-
Oh, we have a copy
you've
of
got
them.
them in
That's
our
fine.
handout there.
That's fine.
And we also give you the locations where we intend to put stop bars down. Stop bars, that's when you pull up to a stop sign, a white stripe across in front of you tells you where you need to stop at, and we want to put those down in several locations.
Councilman Law?
And Mr. Turner, just to confirm, you said that there was already money in the budget for this?
Yes, we had originally appropriated, I think, $160,000. We only spent $60,000, and now we're kind of coming through the process again to formally ask for the $100,000 to be expended on striping.
Councilman Kluwer?
Yes, Mr. Bob, so the excess money did make it into 2008. You have it into 2008.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Actually, the road construction fund is a little bit strange in that it's a very few designated projects. So if any funds are unexpended, it goes back to the road construction funds, which you can then appropriate, because they appropriate the entire amount every year. So kind of like the big pot of money, if you will, without a specific project identified.
Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion? Any opposition? Motion passed.
This next item, item number 10, is a request by Ascension Public Schools to permit them to install school zone flasher signs on Parker Road. We've got a primary school under construction at that location.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Lohr. Discussion? Have one. Mr. Turner, we're going to have the like shooting the radar on this one, or is that
On
they have the one at was it at Oak Grove on 70 on Oak Grove where they have the your speed limit?
It shows you what
Yeah.
you're monitoring.
These are actually paid for by the school board.
By the school board?
Yeah, and so I think it would be their choice as to whether or not to do that. They have to pay for the signs, install them, and maintain them. And so I would not be opposed to that. I think if they choose to do that, I would recommend that we allow them to do that.
Yeah, it really helps out if you can pursue that. Any opposition? Motion passed.
This next item is a request to sell 2 houses that the parish purchased back in 2003, 2004. Councilman Todd Lambert, it's in his area, he may be aware of it. The 2 houses are on Shealy, just off of Cannon. They were purchased for proposed widening of Cannon Road. We actually did the work in 2004 and did not really have to take these houses. And when I got here, when I looked at them, I saw no reason for these houses to really be moved. We do have a need for some right-of-way inside the lot, but we don't have a need to damage the houses that much. So we own these 2 houses, one on each side of Shealy Road, and it's my recommendation that we declare those to be surplus and sell those through our normal process. We've got a couple of drawings that we had prepared to establish the right-of-way line for Cannon Road, showing the remainder area of the lot. As an example, the right-of-way line would be approximately 9 feet away from the house, and which would be similar to what is on the other side of the house, in fact. And so these are nice homes. And in my mind, we need a family living in them. We don't need the parish to just own them and not use them. In just a few years, they're going to be worthless. We'll have to end up tearing them down because there's nobody living in them.
Chairman?
Yeah, Councilman Todd Lamb?
Yeah, Mr. Bob, the procedure in selling these homes, how would we look at that, being as a public,
We have to declare them surplus to start with, and then we'll go through the purchasing department and do it through their procedures. And to be honest with you, I'm not really sure
Houses will have
if
to
we
be appraised.
auction them off or whether or not we set a price on them. We did appraise the homes. The homes have been appraised, and so that'll be given to the purchasing department upon approval by the council. And then we'll go through a procedure, whatever procedure they designate.
I make that motion that we go forward with this.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Discussion? Mr. Cluett, I'm sorry.
Mr. Bob, you saying that the right-of-way would go within, 9 feet of the home?
Yes, sir.
Where would the highway actually, as we widen the highway there?
We had already widened that area of Cannon Road in 2004. We set the right-of-way line such that we could mow along the slope of the road without encroaching onto the property that we're talking about selling. So I really don't see a problem us maintaining the roadway, nor do I see a problem with us being up against the house too close. It's a really reasonable line that we've got between them.
Thank you. I'm looking at your little drawing. It's basically, should we sell them, that we try to maintain as much servitude on on Cannon and on Shealy for future?
Well, we do have a sight line in there, and as you can see, it does cut across the yard. There would actually not be anything physically in that location, but we have protected the sight corner. The only thing about if we were to push the right-of-way line out further, then you severely damage the value of the home. And so we're kind of, as the farther out you go and the closer you get to the house, the proximity damage to the house has to be recognized. So we're at a point that they can have a reasonable side yard. They can mow between, if they choose to build a fence along their line there, we can mow on our side and they can mow on their side without any problems at all.
Good deal. Thank you.
Okay, motion by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilman Johnson. Any other discussion? Any opposition? Motion passed.
The next item that we have, and I guess I need to kind of go back and explain. In 2007, we actually had 4 different contracts. We did one of them in-house, and we're doing that now. Jackie's working on it now. The other 2, we let one to PEC, and we let the other one to GSA. Those 2 contracts are under construction now. The third contract was what we call our turn lane contract. That one is much more complicated than the others in the sense that you have to do traffic studies, you have to do an analysis of the need for the turn lanes, you may have to acquire right-of-way on those, and in addition to that, you coordinate with the state to get the state, because I think all of these affect the state roads, and so you have to coordinate with the state, so that these projects will take a little bit longer than the other projects. And also there was a significant amount of uncertainty. There was some things that we were aware that we could negotiate with the engineer on certain fees, but there were others, until we did a traffic analysis, for example, we didn't know what the design would be. So this is kind of the next step. And we're asking for you to approve an amendment to the contract for Volker and Associates in the amount of $53,386. What this will enable them to do is they have got information now back from the state as to what improvements would be warranted and permitted, and we need to go forward with those. I do need to point out one of the locations, Pallet Street, we had requested that there be a turn lane at that location, a right turn lane out. The traffic analysis said not only is it not warranted, but the state would actually prohibit us from building that because it's just, it doesn't enable everything. The traffic at that location, which is at a park, is of short duration, and it doesn't warrant a significant improvement. So we're recommending that that project be deleted from the list.
Okay.
It's not only is it not warranted, the state won't let us build it.
Okay. That was in mind, Mr. Turner, and it's just that they have a one-way in, one-way out whenever they have at the T-ball game. So,
Yeah.
you know, hey, look, we'll move on to put it into someone else, you know, where it's needed. Discussion? Councilman Law?
Mr. Bob, once we get the results back from the study and with DOTD and everything, if we get their approval, do we know that we have the funding in place to do these turn lanes? Or is
Yes.
that the next step?
Yes. So far, we're still within our basic estimate that we had at the very beginning as to the cost for construction. What we're talking about now is only design engineering cost.
Right.
But yes, we have the construction cost available.
Good. Just making sure we weren't doing all the studies and stuff and then
I
not
agree
have
with
it be
you.
able to be done. So thanks.
Any other discussion? The wishes of the committee?
I make
Motion.
a motion that we go with the fee adjustment.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Kluwat to go with the adjusted fees. Any opposition? None. Motion passed.
Now, I will tell you that this is not the end of fee adjustments on this contract. There are still some intersections out there that we're negotiating with the state as to the improvement necessary. For example, Loosemore and 44. We're still working with the state and the developer on that intersection. So until we can determine what how that intersection should look, we can't lock down this contract. So it still has some adjustment to go in the future. The next item that I have for you is speed humps, discussion of speed humps. I've given you a pretty good sized packet, and I apologize for that, but I promise you I'm not trying to make you traffic engineers, but I do want you to look at this. And if you will go to the first sheet, essentially this is the output of a traffic and speed study that was taken on Cobblestone subdivision after we put speed cushions in that neighborhood. The neighbors had requested that we do something at that location, and so last fall we installed 2 speed cushions and put those down in accordance with the manufacturer's recommendations. We've been working with the neighborhood on that, and then we went out and did a speed and volume study after the fact, and that's what this study is. We did these in January, about mid-January, and we did them over a period of about 3 days, January the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. And there are 2 locations, and the data that you have is information on the number of vehicles and the speed that they're traveling in eastbound direction over 1 speed cushion, and then westbound direction over that same speed cushion in the other direction. Essentially, what all of this really gets down to is that 90% of the people traveling that road in either direction are 25 miles, are now 25 miles an hour or below. In other words, we've got the majority, vast majority of the traffic is in a reasonable and safe manner. And that's for over 600 vehicles a day that travel this area. There are still a few, 1 or 2 vehicles that we've found that travel at fairly high speeds. We've got one that was going almost 70 miles an hour at one time. That was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And but I feel confident when they hit those speed cushions at that speed, they knew what happened. If you travel at 25, these speed cushions are relatively easy to get over. In fact, we haven't had a complaint at all from the public on the use of them. They're okay for 20 to 25. If you go faster than that, you're going to get a jar. And but this is exactly what we had hoped for and had expected. And based on that, our original premise was to use this location as a pilot program. I recommend that we move forward in other locations now. These speed humps cost about $2,500 a piece. So we should use them locations where there's at least 500 vehicles a day traveling on the road. And it should be a relatively straight stretch, similar to what cobblestone is. If there's a lot of stop signs, they're ineffective because the people stopping and then speeding up after it. It just doesn't work for stop signs, but it does maintain traffic calming. People that drive on them can drive 20 miles an hour and really not have a problem. If you're going to go 35 miles an hour, you're going to know it, and hopefully you won't do it a second time. And so what I'd really like to suggest is that you authorize me to go forward to petition or ask the council members to submit locations for us to look at for possible additional locations to put these on.
Good job. Mr. Turner, any discussion?
Motion to have Mr. Turner go to the full council with this.
Motion by Councilman Chris Lohr.
Second.
Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion, Mr. Kluwine.
Mr. Turner, based on what you got here, that where do you see these on roads that have a main speed limit of what?
Well,
25?
really, in my mind, they ought to be in areas where the speed limit's 25 and there's a history of speeding in excess of that. I think on those locations we can pull that speed back down to between 20 and 25 miles an hour for the vast majority of the people on that. If it's subdivisions are currently posted for 15 miles an hour, this is just not effective at that speed. It won't pull those vehicle speeds down to 15. If you get a speed hump that actually would pull vehicles down to 15 miles an hour, it's so severe that the vast majority, 500 people, would be calling you and complaining about it. It's just pulling them down too slow, and it's too dramatic of effect. But if we can pull them down, we think, to 20 to 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's the reason why I'm asking. That's what I have a road in my district that we just went down to 15 miles an hour, and somebody talked about possibly putting speed bumps in there.
Yeah.
Even after that.
Yeah. What happens is it's just very difficult to have the citizens slow to 15. It's just really hard to pull it down that high. If we do it by speed hump, you're probably going to get a lot of complaints.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Councilman Lohr.
Mr. Turner, thanks for putting it on the agenda. I had a number of calls already about speed bumps and everything. I just wanted to ask, the process is going to be going forward. You know, a resident requested of us. We come to you guys, and you guys will do a analysis of traffic counts. And you said if it reaches a certain criteria,
Yes.
500 cars. I think you said that if it's that stretch of highway. If we can, for the council, maybe if we could put together like what your criteria is going to be for
Yes.
recommendations, that would be great.
One of the things that I want to do, and I didn't do it on this one, was I want to get some speed and volume studies before we put them down. In this case, we were pretty sure we had speeding, and pretty sure we had the volumes. And so we did not do a before study, but we're now able to do fairly comprehensive traffic speed and volume studies. So I would recommend that we do speed and volume studies, identify those locations that are truly problems, and come back to you with a reasonable speed hump program.
I think the sheriff's office will work well with you on giving that information.
Yeah.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Bob, budget-wise, I don't know if you have any money in the budget this year for this. We would have to amend the budget, or what is your?
No,
What are you looking at for us annually? Maybe look, because this, you're opening it up. This is going to probably be pretty plentiful.
Yeah.
Every councilman here gets calls on a regular basis on this. So
I certainly understand that.
Okay.
And we currently have, how much we got, Jackie? What's that? We've got a grant as part of our, how much is in it for speed humps, though, speed bumps? 6 pairs. We've got enough for 6 locations.
with grant money.
In grant money. And in addition to that, our road construction fund would provide a reasonable program. The biggest issue that I have, and I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of these, and the reason you'll get a whole lot of requests, but not a lot of them is going to fit in this
They'll meet the
criteria
criteria.
where it's effective. Worst thing that we can do, I think, is to put them in locations where they're either not effective or not warranted. So we want to do a study in advance and bring you areas that are like cobblestone that we can say we did pull those speeds down for the majority of the folks.
Thank you, Mr. Bob.
Okay, any opposition to that motion? None. Pass.
Next item that I have is I want to have a discussion on the 2008 road program. Essentially, we get about $3 million a year that we set aside for road construction programs, goes into our road fund balance. We had given you previously a list of number 1 priority roads in each of the districts. We had our construction people inspect all the roads in the parish responsibility in the parish and rate those. And from those ratings, we have the number 1 ratings in each of the districts. We had summed up the total of estimated cost for that to be about 2.5 to $2.6 million. Now, the dilemma, and Councilman Johnson has suggested, we already have an ongoing obligation for the improvement of Roddy Road. We're currently working very hard to get those bridges in place, but we also have a past obligation by the council to widen Roddy Road. And so what I'd like to, and I think we need to seriously do that. I think that we have an obligation. I think Roddy Road clearly is a road that ought to be widened and improved. And what I would like to suggest for consideration is that we take our $3 million and we designate $1 million and set it aside specifically for Roddy Road. And then the other $2 million we'll do road programs in the parish across the individual council districts. What I'd like, what that will enable us to do, and I've given you information from GSA who has the design project on Roddy Road, but the section that I'd like to see us concentrate on is the section where we're currently we'll build the bridges. If we can widen that section of road, they'll match the bridge locations, and that's on the list of segment 3. The estimated cost of segment 3 is a little over $3 million, $3.2 million, and that includes design, right-of-way acquisition, construction, relocation of utilities. So by setting aside $1 million for that particular segment, we can begin the detailed design, the right-of-way acquisition, the utility relocation for that section, and it'll then match up with the bridges. So this would enable us over a period of, say, 3 to 4 years, we could complete the construction of that section of Roddy Road and at the same time still have a reasonable road program for the balance of the parish. I don't recommend, and I don't feel you would recommend, that we would put all of our funding on a single road project for a number of years. If we widen all of Roddy Road, we're talking about between $13 and $14 million. And so that's going to take us a while to do that. But at the same time, I don't think we can ignore the needs in the rest of the parish. So it's my recommendation to you that I come back to you with a revised 2008 road program, which reduces the roads that I had given you and sets aside $1 million for this particular section of Roddy Road.
Chairman?
Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, Mr. Bob, from my understanding on the widening projects, as far as money-wise, you know, because we got Joy Severio, we had Boudreaux, we had Parker. That was a separate money that was in the widening project. Are you telling me that the widening project money is gone?
It's all in. It's not designated. It's all in one fund balance, and although it was funded,
I thought we had it isolated where the widening money. Because you know when we built Parkham, when we built Worthy, we've been going on it for years. We are spending a lot of money on these 3 roads. You know.
Yes, sir.
I realize that
we are.
But I was just under understanding because we got several other projects, road widening projects that's been on the list for 6 years, just like. Roddy, Cannon, there's several of them.
We had
quite a few of them.
Yes, we had Roddy and
so
Cannon.
It looks like what you're telling me is we're out of money for as the widening projects are concerned.
We still have a fund balance, which in 2007, quite frankly, I committed most of the fund balance on the 2007 4 contracts. We put $10 to $12 million worth of road projects out in 2007.
But I guess priority-wise, I know, you're looking at Roddy Road, you're looking at, and I live on Roddy Road. I know exactly how busy it is, But on a priority, what about the other list of widening projects, where they stand? I see you thinking, I just want to see where you come from the priority basis, why Roddy than the rest.
One of the reasons that I really like Roddy is that it's a road that goes across the parish completely, and so that really makes it stand out in my mind as to a legitimate need. It has significant volume of traffic on it. It's somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 vehicles a day on about a 22-foot wide, about a 20-foot wide surface. So it's carrying a lot of traffic and pretty important in my mind.
But the only section that's on this widening project is from 621 to 931. It's not the whole road.
No, and I think that what I've given you is a cost for the entire road, which is $14 million. Well, clearly,
if you did the whole road. But
clearly,
right now the section that's in question and in need, real quick, is from 621 to 931.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Whether we see the rest of it is to be seen because of the money situation and the road projects are dwindling down.
Yeah, I would hope that we would, if this proves to be successful, and I feel like it will be, that we continue down this road until we actually meet all the obligations that we have. But if we were to put all of our funds on a single road, the time that it takes to buy right away and get the design and all of that, there'd be many legitimate needs in other areas of the parish.
Correct.
So this is kind of a balance. It sets us on the road of doing what we promised we were going to do, and still yet not ignore the needs of the other areas of the parish.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bob.
Councilman Law?
I'd just really like to make sure we look very hard at that as terms of the priority list and everything. I mean, I understand, it's probably well deserved and well needed, but if we're going to look at with limited, we've just been talking lately about how we have a limited amount of funds left and that aren't dedicated, that we make sure we all have prioritized on the biggest road problems in the parish. And that before we allocate $1 million to something, that we're all on board with that being our biggest issue. Before we do, I don't want us to get in the sewer situation of piecemealing things here and there without looking at the big picture. That's my point.
Councilman Johnson?
Yeah, Mr. Bob, and to echo what they're saying too, and the commitment was made several years ago in this particular section and to do Roddy in segments, but also we need to I wasn't able to get the figures together as far as the traffic information for tonight, but I know we've had at least a couple fatality accidents on this particular stretch in the last few years, and that's one of the, in addition to moving traffic, that's one of the things we need to look at roads when we prioritize them is on life safety issues. And with these two bridges, plus the depth of the ditches and the lack of shoulders on it, which most of our parish roads are like that, that's something that has to be thrown in the mix on all of them, not only this particular one, but across the board. So as long as we're using the normal standards of what we use to decide or prioritize what our roads are going to be, the life safety issue and the traffic incidents and those types of things need to come into play as well.
I agree.
One more question.
Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, Mr. Bob, give us a rough idea, guys, a lot of new guys up here. We're doing the road widening project on Joey Severo and Boudreaux. What kind of money are we looking at, since we bought up most of the right-of-way that we needed and the construction has taken place? Could you give us some figures on what are we looking at on these two projects?
Kind of a total?
I know Parker was close to $2 million.
Yeah.
But I hadn't heard any total numbers on Joey Severo and Worthy Boudreaux.
Let me gather the information from the finance department, because we had utility relocations, we had acquisition of right-of-way, and then we had the construction. I can tell you the construction cost for each of those two roads are roughly about $3 million, right at $3 million
That's just construction,
each.
Not counting right-of-way.
That's not counting right-of-way, utility relocations,
I'd like to get
design costs.
If you get us some numbers,
I will.
Appreciate it.
I'll give you those total costs.
Thank you, Bob.
Any other discussion? You'll bring that back to us, Mr. Turner, for recommendation?
Yes, I will. If it's all right with you, I'll pursue along these lines. I'll come back with a new 2008 road list. It's going to be reduced from what I've given you here, but it's going to allocate $1 million for Roddy Road.
Good.
Councilman Kluwai?
Yeah, Mr. Bob, while you're looking, I guess we're going to continue to roll on this subject. Are we widening the roads, to look for the amount of servitude or right-of-ways that we need for storm drains and for sewer?
Yes. In this case, in both Roddy Road and Joseph Ario and Boudreaux, we're including the right-of-way necessary to do a good improvement with good shoulders.
Yeah. I've seen some areas. Looks good.
We absolutely need to do that. I would not want to make significant improvements if we couldn't do something with the ditches and the shoulders.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, agenda item 15, task order contract.
I'd like to add Cali and LaPlace engineers to our task order list.
So moved, Mr.
Again,
Chairman.
no contracts. I'm not asking for an amount, but put them on the approved list.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Lohr. Discussion? Any opposition? Motion passed.
Item number 16, the Director of Public Works can issue small task orders without going to council for approval. However, every quarter I'm obligated to come back to the council to give you notice of those that I've issued and the amounts. And that's what this is. As you can see on the list, in December of '07, I issued a task order to Delta Testing for $7,500 for geotechnical work on Boudreaux. I did the same thing on Joe Severio in the amount of $7,500. We did a task order to GSA for $1,500 to do a MS4 annual report, municipal sanitary sewer system. Where's GSA? It's called an MS4 report, storm sewer system. In February, to River Parish appraisals, $800. Those were to appraise the property that we've just authorized disposing of. In March of '08, Ardeman and Associates for Meyer Road Bridge, $3,700. SJB $7,495 for John Bouchard Road, one for $7,490 for Shealy Pace subdivision to do the surveying on that one. $5,375 for right-of-way acquisition on John Bouchard Road. Two I issued to PSI, one for $5,000 and the other one for $700 for geotechnical work on Country Ridge project. Those are the ones that I've issued on my own. Be glad to answer any questions that you might have. I'll bring this list each quarter to you for your review.
Any questions for Mr. Turner? Appreciate the update, Mr. Turner.
Thank you. The last item that I have, item number 17, I'm asking for an approval for a change order of the 2006 program, and it's to add the improvement for Woodland Avenue. If you will recall, we had this project back in the 2005 road construction program. However, we had it designed, the road was designed, and we could not get the pipeline company to give us a permit to cross it. And so we struggled with that for some period of time. And finally, they said, well, if you don't put a road there, but if you put a driveway, we'll give that consideration. So we designed a driveway, and still yet we couldn't get a permit from them for some period of time. And I don't know how else to say it other than to say it. The person that was denying us the permit left, and we got a new permit person with the pipeline company, and they said, okay, we'll let you do it. But we had a good design, and so what we'd like to do is to add that work now, instead of the 2005, add it to the 2006. The contractor is the same contractor that had it in 2005, and they'd do the work in 2006.
Second. Great. Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Johnson. Any opposition? I know Mr. Bourgeois is going to be real satisfied with this.
That's true.
Motion passed.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilman Kluwat. Thank you.
John. Yeah.